Do a deep dive because this has never been talked about before. No one's ever thought to discuss or compare these players. But LeBron James, he's okay. He's pretty good at basketball. Yeah, and there's another guy who's pretty good at basketball who he gets compared to a fair bit. Michael Jeffrey Jordan. Now, I did a poll on my private Instagram the other day, and interested with the results. I asked who's the greatest player of all time. Is it Michael Jordan or is it LeBron James? And 80% of the people who responded said LeBron James is the GOAT, the greatest of all time. Now, I did ask that literally 10 minutes after they won the championship and he got his finals MVP, so there could be a bit of hype going on there, but we're going to break it down and give our thoughts today. So I want to start with Michael, who is, you let us know which side of the coin you're on, Mike.
I'm in the LeBron corner, man.
All right, yeah. Let's go. LeBron James, greatest player of all time.
He is the greatest basketball player of all time.
Okay, hit us with your reasons.
For one, the championship debate doesn't weigh as heavily on me because I think that's dictated on a lot of luck of your situations of where you go. I think lots of good players have had bad teams and so their career looks worse. So the 6 rings versus 4 rings, I don't weigh that as heavily.
Okay.
So I'm looking at this, and you can look at it in heaps of different ways, but I'm looking at this as who is the most talented player? Who is the best player at playing basketball? If God was to create the perfect player, I think LeBron is the closest thing we've seen.
Okay. Bringing out the God argument. Bringing in religion to it. I love it. Okay. So you're going more on like peak, like in their prime sort of?
I'm taking it all into account.
Yeah.
But I think his overall skill set is one of the main arguments I have. I like that he's I think the fact that he's got the passing over Michael Jordan is a huge thing in me.
Yep.
The sheer size, he's probably the best athlete we've ever seen in the NBA.
I would agree.
And then just the longevity, which I think for a while was sort of underestimated. In terms of this argument with Michael Jordan, in that people sort of go, oh, he's beating all these stats because Michael Jordan had the retirements and he's just played all these times. But now it's moving into, wow, this is impressive how long he's playing. Yeah. And it's actually a plus point for the LeBron James in this regard.
Fair enough. Jermaine, who do you think is the greatest basketball player of all time?
Michael Jordan. Honestly, it's still after those finals.
Has this finals changed LeBron's ranking for you? Yeah.
No, not. He's always been 2 to me.
So you had him 2 leading into these finals, and he's just now closer?
He's so close. Okay. From what I saw in that final, this entire playoffs by him, this man is good.
Yeah.
And the fact that he's 35 years old, 17th season, it's.
But why is he not number 1? Well, what's Mike got over him?
Well, I'm gonna go with this. I'm gonna go with this point. A few months ago, when the NBA shut down, MJ released his documentary.
Oh yes, and what a documentary it was!
It was a great documentary.
Yeah,
and there was a lot of hype around MJ then.
And people were just saying, "Yeah, MJ was the GOAT." The hype was there.
A lot of people were saying that. And
I remember.
I'm pretty sure Michael himself was one of those people.
Oh, were you saying that?
Yeah, for a second I switched over
again. And saying all that, Michael, I'm pretty sure was leaning towards LeBron before the release.
So are you accusing Michael of getting swept up in a bit of hype?
I think he is getting a little swept up, and I think everyone is for good reason though, because Michael Jordan is to me is the greatest of all time, and LeBron is knocking on that door. But I think people are getting swept up in just recency bias.
Okay.
But to me, they're so close.
Yeah.
I mean, if anything, to me, they're both the same.
Okay.
They're both
Cool. Cal, I'll get your input now. Who's your GOAT?
I reckon. I feel like if we're looking at the peak of their power, it's got to be Michael Jordan. I think he's the best player. The longevity. I mean, I can understand LeBron. He's just been doing this for so long now. Was it 11 finals he's been to, 4 wins? Pretty crazy stats, just the longevity. But you could make that argument for Kareem as well. Kareem was an anchor for that for multiple teams and won multiple championships and multiple MVPs, just like LeBron has. So I personally, I'd have him as my, I have him above Kareem. I have him at 2, but I think Michael's the best. Michael, look, they were both freaks of athlete. They're absolute freaks. LeBron's just like a more overpowering, dominant physical player. But Michael was just Michael was his own breed. He literally still holds the record for the highest vertical jump in the NBA draft combine. 46. Like, the man could just float in the air, and he just
Is that actually legit?
No.
I thought Andrew Wiggins.
That Grizzlies dude that was like in and out of the league.
I gotta give it to Michael.
Oof.
He's well, I think you just can't really beat. I don't know. I don't know how you can beat Michael. Can LeBron three-peat? He hasn't three-peated yet. Maybe if he does that with the Lakers, maybe I consider it.
Yeah, well, that would give him 6. We'll have to fact check that vertical jump thing. I feel like Andrew Wiggins broke that. I don't know.
I do know that
Andrew Wiggins
back in those
44
days,
inches.
there weren't any
Michael Jordan was
official.
46 inches.
There weren't official
Okay. All right. Well, if you've got the stats there, Cal, we'll back you up. But I mean, I believe it. Michael Jordan was a freak. He jumped out the gym. But look, I'm in agreement. So it's 3-1 here on the Ball Boys. I think Michael Jordan's the greatest of all time. Although LeBron James is closing in. Now, before these finals, I actually had LeBron at number 3 on my list. And this man doesn't get enough recognition, and undeservingly so. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, I did have at number 2 before these final series, and I think LeBron's passed him now. But Kareem, I just want to mention Kareem, because he if you look at his resume, he's won 6 championships. He's been a 15-time All-NBA, 11 times All-Defensive Team. He was a 6 times MVP. Twice he was the Finals MVP. He led the league in blocks 4 times, led the league in scoring twice, is the all-time leading scoring player of all time ever. He's the Rookie of the Year. Like, this guy was like crazy, and his numbers stand up across eras. Now, where I think LeBron gets him is obviously you play the era card. Kareem played in an era that there was less teams in the league, probably up against players who were less athletic, to say the least. So I have moved him back, but I just want to give a shout out to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, because I feel like he gets left off a little list. But for me, You would say that the stats maybe favour Michael Jordan. Favour LeBron a little bit more. You brought up the passing ability, and I will concede that LeBron is obviously a better passer, but Michael Jordan's a better scorer. And I guess, and also I will say a better defender than LeBron. And I think those two things combined outweigh the ability for LeBron to pass. And we know that Michael Jordan's a good creator anyway. Like, he's a great passer. He played on a team with Scottie Pippen, who was an all-time great passer as well. So I didn't necessarily need to show that in his game as much. Obviously, he had the ball in his hands a lot to score, and that's what he was good at, so that's what he did. I'm sure if he was asked to pass a bit more, he could have. And he has demonstrated that in several positions where he had to play point guard. I want to throw up some interesting analytic stats that I think is the best way you can compare the two. So it's tough with these analytics to compare errors, but with these ones I'm going to try as best I can. I think the best stat to compare errors is when you do things per 100 possessions, because we know that in the NBA it's gone up and down in terms of the speed of the game. At the moment we're playing quite fast basketball. Stats are fairly inflated. You think about all the 30-point scorers that there are in the NBA right now. It's quite inflated, whereas back in like the 2000s or the 90s, things were a lot slower. So that's where I think Michael Jordan's 30 points a game career average is actually even more impressive, because that was about a third of the team's points rather than just a quarter when teams are scoring 120 right now. But looking at the win shares per 48 minutes, number 1 all time, Michael Jordan. LeBron is number 6. So Michael Jordan is at 25%. Win shares per 48 minutes, and LeBron's at 23.3. Guess who's above him, by the way? Chris Paul is above LeBron James in win shares per 48. Just shout out to Chris Paul. So that's win shares. True shooting percentage, Michael Jordan just edges out LeBron James in true shooting percentage. Narrowly beats him out there. And then box score plus minus. This is the one that you can average out per 100 possessions. Michael Jordan has a ridiculous box score box score plus minus of 9.22, and LeBron James is second all time on 8.93. So the advanced stats would actually be in favour of Michael at this stage, even when you take into account the speed of the game played back in the 90s. But LeBron is still probably a clear second in those advanced stats. So that's where I lean towards Michael a bit more, because even though he's got the championships, he's got the 6 rings, he's got the MVPs, he's got the 6 finals MVPs, even the advanced stats actually back up Michael Jordan as well. But I think it's a close second. I think LeBron's done so well to sort of bring himself back up into the conversation, and we never thought we'd ever see it, though. Your thoughts on those advanced stats, Michael? Do you...
Well, I mean, the stats, I can't argue with them.
Yeah.
But I think one thing that has to be said is Michael Jordan played under Phil Jackson. LeBron's never had a good coach.
I thought you'd bring that up.
Great coach.
Phil Jackson was a nobody before he coached Michael Jordan.
Sure, but he went on to be somebody. He went on to win something like 20% of the NBA titles ever he's been involved in.
He's the all-time leading coaching win.
So just because he was nobody when he started doesn't... Greg Popovich was nobody when he started.
Correct.
So I think that assists Michael Jordan in those statistical categories, in that he was playing under a better offense for a long time.
What if LeBron James stayed at the Miami Heat and had Eric Spoelstra?
Let me rebuttal that quickly.
Before
Before Phil Jackson came, that's when Michael was putting up like 36 points and 37 points a game in a regular season. And then Phil Jackson came in, and that's when they started winning championships. And his statistically was scoring less points and was playing more of a team game. So I don't understand how you can make that argument.
Well, I think what Mike's trying to say is that like Phil Jackson affected winning more than like Michael's stats, but
just because he's dropping 5 points a game, his overall stats, his plus minus, his efficiency, his true shooting is all going to rise under Phil Jackson. There was also
the rise of Scottie Pippen as well. I feel like that doesn't get enough respect. Scottie Pippen was like a top 10 player in the league in his day, so he rose to the occasion. He became that kind of player, and it complemented Jordan's game perfectly. They just complemented each other.
Do you think that LeBron has had less help than Michael?
No, I don't think that. I think LeBron's had some incredible teammates. I think Dwayne Wade was a top 10 player for a period playing with LeBron. I don't think, well, obviously AD's a top 5 probably player. He's had some fantastic teammates.
Yeah.
Obviously that Cleveland first stint was something
awful.
else. When Mo Williams is by far your best teammate over 7 years, they're doing something wrong.
Yeah, what the fuck? Come on, Cleveland.
So that hurts.
Hey, you're forgetting Zildjiunas Ilgauskas.
True.
Mate, that's a name.
Farajau was dominant.
Yeah.
I think we should give LeBron a 5th championship just for making the finals that year. Can we give him a 5th ring? Just because he got out of the East. I think he got swept by the Spurs, didn't he? But just to get out of the East, that deserves a ring for the absolute trash he was carrying.
It was impressive. So I don't know. I feel like, and the other argument that people always bring up is like the longevity. So you brought up the longevity thing as well. Like, I don't know if that it helps LeBron in his greatness, but when you directly compare LeBron and Michael Jordan, it almost like hurts him in a way, because Michael Jordan really only played 11 healthy seasons. He did play 2 years at the Wizards. I'm discounting that. And his second year in the league, he played 18 games because of an injury. And then the 94-95 season, he came back late in the season, played 17 games. So outside of those 2 seasons where he played less than 18 games, he's had 11 seasons with the Bulls and had 6 championships in those 11 seasons. So like that turnaround and that period of dominance is just so hard to replicate. Like LeBron's played 17 seasons and he's got 4 championships. I know he's been to the finals 10 times now, but it's almost like if he continues to win more, I don't know if that necessarily like catches him up further, because he's just had more time to do it. And I know it's a like big what if thing, but what if Michael Jordan played those extra 2 years when he was playing baseball? Like, could they have won a 7th or an 8th? What if he kept playing even when they got rid of Scottie Pippen and like kept putting up all these stats? Like, where would he be ranked in the all-time points, scoring and all these championships and records that LeBron's breaking now? Would they be Michael's? It's a tough one to argue, but I think it almost like favors Michael Jordan just because of that like dominance side of things and like the peak of his powers. Like that argument, I feel like you just can't get over that. LeBron's best argument are his playmaking ability and his longevity. But it's almost like at this point, it is what it is, and it's not going to impress me any more than it already does. Does that make sense? So I don't know if LeBron can catch Michael.
On that dominance thing, I'll say that LeBron making 9 finals in 10 years, or is it 10 finals in... Yeah, 9 finals in
9 finals in 10 years, and then he's also got the one in Cleveland earlier on.
Yeah. That's an unheard of stretch as well. That matches Michael Jordan's dominance of a league for roughly a decade. The only difference is LeBron James was versing 2 of arguably the top 10 dynasties in NBA history in the finals for 5 of them. Or 6, 5.
Well, he lost twice to the Warriors. Was it twice or 3 times?
Lost 3 times.
3 times to the Warriors. He lost to the Spurs. So you're counting the other one. So twice to the Spurs. The Dallas Mavericks one.
Yeah, that's an inexcusable dash on LeBron's career. That was LeBron collapsing. That was no one else's fault. That is something that to just like write him off because of that 1 year is just ridiculous.
Yeah. So and the biggest props I'll always give LeBron is that year that he beat the Warriors after they've gone 73-9. Like that's incredible. I think that to be the underdog team and win that year
and 3-1
down, huge props. Like you've got to give it to him, and that's like one of his biggest accomplishments. But it's sort of like countered by the time when he was the favorite and he should have closed the deal with this all-time great Miami Heat team. And every other championship he's won, he has been the favorite, I would say. Again, maybe the Spurs one, I can't remember if they were the odds-on favorite to win that series. I want to say that they were.
That would have been a borderline flip of coin. But like Michael Jordan would have been the favorite in every final, and I think by a higher margin. Yeah. Other than those Utah Jazz teams, I wouldn't say any of the other teams that they versed would even compare, like be on that same level as the San Antonio Spurs and the Golden State Warriors. I think LeBron had a tougher time. And there's this sort of scenario where if you take that 10-year career and the Spurs or the Warriors weren't in it, LeBron's looking at 7 rings in 9 years potentially. And it's just because he had harder competition when he got there. But it's still dominance. Fair
enough, and like you can't argue against it. I will throw out that Lakers team, the Magic Johnson-led Lakers team that the Bulls got over, and let's not discount those Utah Jazz teams. They were bloody good teams.
No, I said Utah Jazz is in that list. Other than them, I think that Lakers team was aging.
Yeah,
they weren't at the peak of their powers anymore.
Yeah,
I will say something that some people just don't. Thing to mention about, as a point in favour of LeBron, the fact that he has won championship with 3 different teams is actually ridiculous. Because there's with MJ now I'm kind of jumping onto the LeBron side.
Go.
Because everyone will be here in about 10 years.
Just because MJ had the same core, he was able to build chemistry and play the same similar system and just get better at it throughout the years.
Whose fault's that been for LeBron though?
I'm just saying in terms of difficulty, it's ridiculously hard to be able to change from team to team and still make it to a finals.
It's not that hard when you join a team and then you add a top 5 player, or you go to a team
we see that every year.
Look at the Clippers this year.
We see teams make super teams.
I said LeBron's passing and his longevity. Yeah. I'll give another thing LeBron has over Michael Jordan is his leadership and his ability to coexist with other stars. And that is a huge thing. Yeah. I will give him that. I think if you're picking a team, maybe you pick LeBron based on leadership alone. Mm-hmm. So that is a big thing that you do have to give LeBron props for. But in saying that, he's leaving bad situations, like an aging Miami Heat team, to join a Cleveland team that's got the number 1 pick 3 times in 4 years.
I'll still see that as a weak move, but it's a ridiculous feat to be able to just join and a bunch of guys together.
Yeah,
and still make it to the finals and win a championship.
I don't know. I almost think that's like a knock against LeBron, that he's like been going to good situations to like continue his window of winning. Because if he stayed in Miami Heat, they're not going to have that window that he makes to the finals the next 2 or 3 years. He's maybe getting knocked out by the Celtics the next year or Indiana, who were good at the time. But like I feel like he's jumping to a better situation, helping his chances to make the finals again. I'm not saying that he wasn't the main cause that they did do that, but it's a better situation than when he left.
Yeah.
And Michael never did that. He just had the situation that he had and got to the finals every year.
That's true, but the situation Michael had was never bad.
No.
It was, and it's not luck. It's good GM work when they brought in Rodman and whatnot.
Yep.
But in terms of like Michael Jordan just staying put, it's sort of theoretically lucky that he stayed there, and then the situation that was sort of aging, coming to an end, managed to hit the restart button and get another 3 rings. That's like LeBron doesn't have that luxury, so he jumped ship.
Yeah.
And I do admit it is. I can see how it is a detriment to it, but to discredit it, I think is, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Just when you're bringing it up as a positive point for LeBron, I just don't know. It's like neither here nor there to me. I don't really see it as.
I think it just points out like his versatility, being able to just fit with like any player. Like,
and I will concede that his ability to jump in and his leadership. Yeah. What do you think, Cal? Do you think LeBron's weak for moving, or does it damage his legacy? Or
I don't mind. I think it's a positive just because it's so many different teams. And so many different teams carried to a final, so many different teams he's won with. So I think that's a good positive on his resume. Another positive I'll throw out there as well, that Michael Jordan never... I feel like the teams Michael Jordan were versing weren't as good back then. The teams are a bit better these days. I think that's a fact, to be honest. And then in terms of... Michael Jordan never had to go against... I mean, the whole Kevin Durant thing is just absolute BS. I mean, Kevin Durant goes to a 73-win team, and then he's there for 3 years. Like, I'm sorry, but that team was just stupid. And I remember that the first year they just went to the playoffs and absolutely just knocked off everyone. There was 16-2 in the playoffs, which is the second best of all time. The only team to do better than that was Kobe and Shaq when they ran through 16-1, and AI got that one game in the finals. But absolutely steamrolled. Michael Jordan never had to show his face against someone like that. That's just like Michael Jordan put up 72 wins. There was never a team that put up 73 and then added, a top 20 all-time player. So absolute snake in the grass. Kevin, I hate you. I hate you for it. If that didn't happen, who knows what we'd be saying. Maybe I'd be on LeBron's bandwagon. But this is what happened. Kevin ruined the league. I just wanted to slide that in there. Sorry.
Maybe if that happens... Maybe if that happens in Michael Jordan's area, you'd hear the famous line of, I'll take that personally. And he just puts them on his back, and who knows? I mean, there's...
Why didn't he take it personally?
Yeah, why didn't he take it personally?
No, he did. He just doesn't make a documentary to make himself look like...
the LeBron doco's coming.
Yeah, it will come, but it's not out yet.
Give it 10 years. Or when he retires, it'll
how long do we think LeBron's got left? What do we think? Like, how long? He's 35 now. I'm saying 40. I reckon
assuming no freak injury.
Oh, assuming he doesn't do his ACL in next season.
As in this level of play to 40, or
he
just
plays.
Retires at 40.
He retire. When do you think he's retiring?
I think he could play past 40.
Yeah, that's fucked. He came into the league at 18.
I think he retires earlier than he could.
Yeah.
So I think he retires within the next 3 years, honestly.
Do you think this is his last? Because he's got 3 years, or maybe 2 years left on his deal.
Yeah, I think he finishes it up within the next 2 years.
Outside of getting injured, there's no way LeBron's retiring before he takes Kareem's spot at the top of points.
Yeah,
there is no way LeBron's retiring.
I think he wants that.
And I think he needs 3 years to do that.
Maybe a one last.
Yeah, he's getting that before he retires.
I think he's retiring within the next 3 years. I don't think he rides it out until he deteriorates.
Will his son be playing by then?
Maybe 4 years.
I think he's 16.
4 years.
Yeah, so he could be in there that last year.
Yeah, that might be an incentive, but I still think he wants. I reckon he wants to retire when he's still playing at high level.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think he will be. Yeah.
I think he will be playing at high level.
I think so as well, but I think just because he's in that GOAT discussion, or actual GOAT discussion, he wants to be, at the top. Just like MJ when he retired, kind of thing.
But Tim Duncan kept playing those later stages of the Spurs where he wasn't the same player, but they certainly weren't detrimental to his career because he wasn't the same player, but he was still contributing.
Different personality as well. Tim Duncan's bit more.
I love Timmy D. How good is Timmy D?
Shout out to Timmy D.
Criminally underrated.
Wait, LeBron's. I don't think he's the kind of guy to be like, I'll be happy to be a sixth man, or not that I don't think he'll ever be that level at some point.
But I think he'd be happy to play the second star later in his career.
I think he's the second star next
Like
year.
he's potentially. Well, I don't think so. The media paints him as from time to time now.
I don't see him doing it. He's, even though as humble like as he is, that he likes to play off. I don't think he's that.
He's a team player. I reckon he will. I reckon honestly.
Team player, but he's still going to be.
He's got 3 more years of like elite being a number 1 option, in my opinion. He can definitely push the 38.
That's crazy.
And then
38.
Can he play till he's like? I would not be surprised at all if he's playing till he's like 40, 41, 42. Because even though he's not athletic, the thing about LeBron now is he can actually shoot, and he's still an absolute specimen in terms of strength. If he can't jump
he's never going to lose his size.
Yeah, but he'll just move to the power forward position.
I mean, he already sort of has, but yeah, no, I agree. And he'd still be a good playmaker. Yeah, I guess it's just how long he wants to play, really. Like, if he wants to keep going, like, no GM's going to say no to LeBron James.
I'll say, if his team isn't in the position to win a championship, that's when he does.
You don't reckon, like, here's what I reckon. I reckon Bronny gets drafted and he plays a year or 2 with that team, no matter what team it is. I think he goes to that team and, like, plays with his son.
Yeah,
and
that
then,
could be his, like,
that's a maybe. A farewell tour.
Yeah, and just like and that's it. Yeah,
however he is.
That's his Washington years and the Jordan, you know, like
and people sort of don't actually really count.
Nah, yeah, we don't count the Washington years for Michael. I mean, Michael was, what was he, 40?
20 a game.
Yeah, 30, 38 and 39.
Yeah.
You know, so like, and we just kind of.
That's what's going to happen. Because apparently that's what the media is saying. Surely doesn't that mean that any franchise would just be like, I just want to draft Bronny, so I have actual LeBron James on my team? Like, is that not something that they want to be doing?
Even if he's
of course, yeah,
even if he's not the number 1 pick or deserves to be the number 1 pick, like he might go number 1.
Yeah, it's like, I get LeBron James with this player. Oh, sick. That's a pretty good deal. Even if he's like 40, he's still going to be a good player. So
yeah, 100%.
You know what I like to see instead of him playing until 40? I'd like to see him try another sport. I want to see him.
Yeah, go to baseball, and then we can have the real conversation.
I want to see him in the NFL or something like that. I want to see something like that. I reckon that'd be cooler than him playing basketball till 40.
Oh, he should have done that after his 3rd championship. Then we could have been really comparison.
Yeah.
But I think it's a bit late now. All right, we're going to wrap it up there, guys. Congratulations again to the Lakers. Congrats to LeBron, second greatest player of all time. But we'll catch you guys next time. We've got lots planned for the off-season. We're going to be talking NBA draft. We're going to be bringing in some fantasy chat in the future for all those fantasy basketball players out there. We've got a wealth of knowledge and experience outside of Michael. Michael does all right. So lots of stuff to look forward to. Who knows when the NBA season is going to be back? I think they're talking January 18, last I heard. Mid to late January.
Like that, yeah.
So still got lots to talk about in the off season. So stay tuned.
Poetry as well.
Yeah, Sam Dunk Poetry. That'll be back next week. So stay tuned for that. If you haven't given us a rating, please do so. 5 stars on Apple Podcasts. Tell your mates about us, and we'll catch you guys next week. Peace out. See ya.